ॐ गुरुरेव गति गुरुमेव भजे गुरुनैव सहास्मि नमो गुरवे न गुरुः परमं शिशुरस्मि गुरोः मातिरस्ति गुरो मम पाहि गुरो सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नमः। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय हरये परमात्मने प्रणतः क्लेशनाशाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुवेदमभेदकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकादराजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेतः। सर्वेभ्यः नमस्कारः. We are saying Srimad Bhagavada Purana, and by the grace of Bhagavan Sri Hari, we have completed saying up to Canto 8 in Srimad Bhagavada Purana. And towards the end of that canto, we saw the Matsya Avatara of Bhagavan and the life of King Satyavrata, how he was connected with the Matsya Avatara of Bhagavan. And by that Punya Karma, and by getting the direct knowledge of Brahman from the Matsya Rupa of Bhagavan, in the next Manvantara and in the next Kalpa, Raja Satyavrata became the Manu, and he is the Manu of this Kalpa, that is the Vaivasvata Manu. And we saw that Matsya Avatara and many avatars we saw in the last canto. Now this canto, Canto 9, it also has 24 chapters, and it explains about the Vamsha and the Vamshanu Charitra of the great kings who ruled Bharata, and also the great Rishis. That is, this canto is about the genealogy of the great kings who ruled Bharata and the many Rishis, many famous Rishis. Many people try to skip this canto or just to see this canto at a glance. But I feel so proud and I love this canto because we trace the genealogy of the great kings who ruled Bharata and the great Rishis. Nowhere in this world, in any other country or any other continent other than Bharata, we can trace the genealogy of that line from that first ruler, Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa. Nowhere in this world, I don't think, I'm not aware of it, I don't think, nowhere in this world we can trace the genealogy to the first ruler of this earth. And the genealogy from the sun god and the genealogy up to the lunar dynasty, that is the Chandra Bhagavan. So this culture and tradition of this Bharata is the residue of all that. Actually, we are following the culture and tradition, the moral values and the spiritual values are followed by Bhagavan Sri Rama and Bhagavan Sri Krishna. We younger generation try to imbibe their values, their beliefs, what they said. That's why even today, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavata are very famous. Even the Upanishads, they are also very famous. So that is the culture and tradition of this great nation. So it is very important to know the genealogy of the rulers of this great Bharata. Only then we can understand in what values and what tradition we are being brought up with. We are following the tradition and culture of what Bhagavan Sri Krishna followed, Bhagavan Sri Rama followed, and many other great kings like this. So we will see the genealogy of all this of these great rulers in this canto. This canto also has 24 chapters, and as I said, the king Satyavrata of that last kalpa, he, because of the punya he earned, he became the Vaivashvata Manu. Vaivashvata Manu is the son of the Surya Deva. And in this great Bharata, two great Vamshas are very prominent, and they were the ruling Vamshas in the ancient time. They are the Surya Vamsha and Chandra Vamsha. Surya Vamsha is the solar dynasty, and Chandra Vamsha is the lunar dynasty. In the solar dynasty, that is the Surya Vamsha, Vivaswan, the sun deity, was the first ruler. His son was Vaivashvata Manu. He was the Raja Satyavrata of that previous kalpa. He was born as the son of sun deity Vaivaswan and is known as the Vaivashvata Manu. Vaivashvata Manu's wife is Shraddha, and they both had Vaivashvata Manu and Shraddha, they both had 10 children. And the eldest of them was the Ikshavahu. In that line was born Bhagavan Sri Ram. So that Ikshavahu line is very famous. About all that great rulers and their lineage, we will see when we go deep into this canto. In the solar dynasty, there were 84 prominent kings who ruled this great Bharata. Some of them were Mandhara, Ambarisha Maharaj, Harichandra, Dileepa, who brought the Ganga from the heaven to the earth, Raghu. After that only, this line of Bhagavan Sri Ram was known as the Raghuvamsha. Aja, Dasharatha, father of Bhagavan Sri Ram, and then Bhagavan Sri Ram. Surya Vamsha ended with the ruler Brahadbhala, who died in the Mahabharata war. So till then, the solar dynasty was ruling. And even in that time itself, the Chandra Vamsha, that is the lunar dynasty, they came into existence, and there were many prominent kings there also. But the Surya Vamsha ended with the Mahabharata war. And the subsidiary family of the solar dynasty were the Videha rulers. Videhas, Mithila kings, and the rulers of Vaishali, Saryadi family, they were all the subsidiary rulers of the Surya Vamsha. Now, the lunar dynasty, Chandra Vamsha, the first ruler was the moon deity, and in that line came 76 great rulers. And the great Bhagavan Krishna, he was born in the lunar dynasty, that is the Chandra Vamsha. Some of the great rulers of that Vamsha were Pururuvas, Nahusha, who went to heaven, then fell back to the earth. And Yayadi Maharaj, known for getting receiving youth from his children. Puru, Dushyanta and Shakuntala. Their son Bharata, after him only this great nation was known as Bharata. Kuru, and then Shantanu Maharaj, then Vichitra Virya, Pandu, and of course Yudhishthira and the Pandavas. So the Pandavas and the Kauravas, they came in this lunar dynasty. In the lunar dynasty also came Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And the Purus, the descendants of them were known as the Pandavas. They were the Pandavas and the Kauravas. And the descendants of the Yatu were the Yadavas. And Bhagavan Sri Krishna came in that line, was born in that line. So in the Surya Vamsha was born Bhagavan Sri Ram. And in the Chandra Vamsha was born Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So this lunar dynasty, the Chandra Vamsha also came to an end after the Bhagavan Sri Krishna leaving his body on the earth. And after that entry of Kali, in the Kali age, that dynasty also slowly came to an end. So the solar dynasty, Surya Vamsha, ended with the Mahabharata war, and the Chandra Vamsha lunar dynasty ended with the end of the Kali Yuga and Bhagavan Sri Krishna leaving his body. So that is the great two Vamsha of this great Bharata, Surya Vamsha and the Chandra Vamsha. And Bhagavada says that the solar dynasty lost its luster with Sri Rama, and by that time lunar dynasty was coming up, and the lunar dynasty lost its luster with the Bhagavan Sri Krishna attaining his abode, and with the arrival of the Kali, the lunar dynasty ended. And after that, the Kali Yuga came into existence. Now, the Vaivashvata Manu, he had 10 children, and the eldest was the Ikshavaku. We will see about the Ikshavaku line later in this canto. But now we will see the other son of, one of the son of Vaivashvata Manu was Saryati Maharaj. Saryati Maharaj was a great bhakta. You can say him as the Raja Rishi itself. And his daughter was Sukanya, a good Kanya, Sukanya. And she had very beautiful eyes. She was known for her beautiful eyes, very beautiful. And Raja also brought that daughter in a very devoted way, where she was very dear to him. One day, Saryati Maharaj and his daughter Sukanya, they went into the forest to meet Rishi Chavana in his ashrama. When they arrived in his ashrama, Chavana Rishi was not there in the ashrama. So the Maharaj, the Saryati Maharaj, he waited outside the ashrama, and all his troops and the retinue, royal retinue, they also waited there outside the ashrama. But Sukanya, she was very playful, very young, also not very young, she was in the teenage. She went around that ashrama in the forest along with her friends. When she went along like that, she saw an ant hill, Valmika, an ant hill. And when she came near the ant hill, she could feel some vibration. And when she just saw that ant hill, through that holes of that anthill, something was glowing, just like a glowworm. Valmikarandre kadyode iva jodishi dadrushe. Kadyeda iva means that is like a glowworm. Something is shining inside that anthill. Not some vibration she could feel. And in her playfulness, and actually must say prompted by fate, that girl, she took a stick from nearby and she poked that something that was glowing through that hole. Te jodishi kantakena avidyata. She just took a stick from the nearby place and pricked that glowing thing through that hole. Immediately, tada bahi asru susravaha. Lot of blood came from that glowing thing through that hole of that Valmika. So she saw that blood is just flowing out from that ant hill, that holes of that ant hill, and she got afraid and she just ran away with her friends. Immediately at that time, all the troops of that Maharaja and his retinue, they all felt some discomfort in their stomach. There's some stomach pain and they could not bear that, and they all came and reported to Maharaj. Immediately, the Raja Rishi Saryadi said to his men, asked his men, Abhya bhadram na yushmabhir bhargavasya vicheshtitam vyaktam kenabi nyastasya kritamashram dushanam. Have any one of you done anything harmful to sage Chavana Rishi? Did anyone disturb the sanctity of this ashrama? Everyone kept quiet because no one did anything. They didn't even move from that place. But Sukanya, she came forward and said about this. I saw some glowing thing inside that Valmika, that is that ant hill, and I took a stick and pricked that, and blood came out from this. And Maharaj, her father was shocked by hearing this. He just ran and saw that blood is losing and coming out from that anthill. And slowly he disturbed that anthill and he saw that Shavana Rishi is in a meditation. And at that time, he was disturbed from the meditation, and blood is coming out from his eyes. That glowing ball was his eyes. Because of that jnana, it was shining just like two suns. Because of that, that is the power of his jnana. And Maharaja was so disappointed, and Saryati Maharaj pacified the Rishi, Shavana Rishi, he pacified him. And as a parihara, he gave his beautiful young daughter in marriage to this old Rishi, Shavana Rishi. And he went back to his palace. And Shamana Rishi was a person no one can so easily adjust with him because he was a person with highly choleric temperament. And suddenly he will yell at everyone and suddenly he will be very calm. So no one can so easily adjust with him. But Sukanya was a very intelligent daughter or intelligent girl. So she adjusted with him, seeing his understanding, his temperament, she adjusted with him. And they both lived very peacefully in that ashrama. Shavana Rishi was very old and Sukanya was very young. Like this, they lived happily in that ashrama. One day, the Ashwini Devas, they came to the ashrama to meet Shavana Rishi. At that time, the Shavana Rishi asked the Ashwini Kumaras, if you make me youthful, attractive to everyone, then I can make arrangement for you to get the Soma juice. And the Ashwini Devas, they also agreed to it because the Ashwini Devas were not qualified for the Soma juice under the ground that they were physicians. They were the physicians of the Devaloka. So they were not qualified to receive the Soma juice from any yajna. But Shavana Rishi said, if you make me youthful, then I will make arrangement for you to get the Soma juice. And the Ashwini Devas accepted it and they said, Bhavan Siddha Vinirmithe Asmin Hade Nimajyadam. You must plunge into this lake made by the Siddhas. They said it to whom? To Chavana Rishi. And the Chavana Rishi immediately accepted it. Chavana Rishi was very old and all his skin was so dry. There were multiple folds on his skin. All his bones were protruding through that skin. Very old, he cannot even walk properly. Someone has to hold him, then only he can walk properly because of that old age. They just carried Shavana Rishi into that lake because he cannot walk alone. So they just carried the Shavana Rishi and just, along with the Shavana Rishi, they also plunged into that lake made by the Siddhas. So the three of them, they plunged into that lake made by the Siddhas. And after some time, three of them, they came up. When they came up, they were so beautiful, very young. All three of them are equally beautiful, attractive, very young. They were wearing garlands, silk robe and everything because of the magic of the Siddhas. So Sukanya, she was standing on the banks of that pond and she cannot identify who Shavana Rishi was, who was her husband, because all of them are very young. And Sukanya requested to the Ashwini Devas that, please identify yourself. Then I can find out who my husband is. So the Ashwini Devas, out of mercy and grace of for Sukanya, they said, I am that Ashwini Kumara. And the other said, I am also the Ashwini Kumara. And like this, they both identified. And then Sukanya was able to identify her husband, Rishis Shavana. So again, the Ashwini Kumaras, they went to the heaven and Shavana Rishi promised that in future you will get the bhaga of the Soma juice. So life went on like this in the ashrama of the Rishi Shavana. One day, Saryati Maharaj, that is the father of Sukanya, he came to see his daughter and also his son-in-law. He wanted to perform an yajna, and for that, to get the details, he came to the ashrama. When he came inside the ashrama, he saw a very beautiful young Rishi sitting with his daughter. Actually, the king got very angry and he shouted at Sukanya, telling, "What are you doing, my putri? Because that Rishi was so old, you just took another one as your husband, sending him away from this ashrama? How can you do this? Do you know what are the repercussions of such a sinful act? Like this, the king Saryadi asked his daughter Sukanya, and Sukanya very smilingly said, Yevam Bhruvanam Pitaram Smyayamana Suchishmita Uvacha Tada Jamata Tavaisha Bhrugunandana. To her father, Sukanya said smilingly, "This is your Jamata father, this is your son-in-law, who is the coming in the line of Bhrigu." And she said about the whole story about the Ashwini Kumaras coming here, and they three plunged into that pond, everything she said. And Saryadi Maharaj was happy after hearing it, and he requested his Jamata Rishi Chavana to perform a Soma Yajna, and they all performed the Soma Yajna, and the Soma Bhaga, portion of the Soma juice, was given to the Ashwini Devas. Immediately Indra got angry, and because the rule of that Devaloka was ruled out, and he got very angry with his Shavana Rishi, and he took his Vajrayudha, he raised his Vajrayudha and came to slay Shavana Rishi. Immediately his Shavana Rishi, he just looked at his hands, and his hands of Indra became paralyzed. And after that, Shavana Rishi gave the bhaga of Soma juice to the Ashwini Kumaras. Actually, from then on, the Ashwini Devas, that is the Ashwini Kumaras, they began to get the portion of the Soma juice in the Yajna. So that was the great story of Rishi Shavana and Sukanya, who then Sukanya is the daughter of King Saryadi Maharaj, and Saryadi was the son of Vaivashvatamanu. So in my next video, I will tell about another genealogy of another famous king. Om Namo Narayana Kila Guru Bhagavan Namaste. Om Sri Krishna Arpanamastu.